a mysterious newcomer could either become the lifeline Charity Dingle desperately needs, or create even more trouble in her already shattered life. Charity is longing for someone she can finally trust, but finding that person seems almost impossible. Who could truly understand that she secretly gave birth to Sarah's baby, or that she betrayed Mack by sleeping with Ross? Her troubles only grew worse after she stole money from Caleb to pay off Dr. Todd, the man who had been blackmailing her after sexually assaulting her while she was unconscious. Since the attack, Charity has been barely holding herself together. The police were unable to gather enough evidence to continue the investigation, leaving Todd free to mock her while she struggled in silence. Her loved ones wrongly believe she is suffering from postnatal depression, never realizing that overwhelming trauma is the real cause of her pain. Meanwhile, Kane is also dealing with his own emotional struggles, and the two find comfort in sharing quiet moments together. Despite everything she is going through, Charity encourages him to open up to Moira about his feelings, preferring to focus on helping someone else instead of facing her own heartbreak. Unfortunately, nobody returns the favor, and Charity continues to keep her own suffering locked away. Mack feels completely shut out because she cannot bring herself to tell him the truth. Feeling helpless and frustrated, he admits to Chas that he no longer knows how to reach his wife, while Chas silently wrestles with the painful secret she has been keeping. The situation becomes even more heartbreaking whenever Mack tries to comfort Charity, only to be pushed away once again. No matter how hard he tries, she refuses to let him in. Overcome with emotion, Charity climbs into her car and drives away in tears, leaving Mack terrified and confused about where she has gone. She eventually ends up sitting alone beside a quiet lake, emotionally exhausted and carrying the unbearable weight of everything that has happened. Ignoring every phone call from Mack, she leaves the family increasingly concerned for her safety. With no sign of her, the Dingle family comes together to organize a desperate search. After failing to locate her themselves, they make the difficult decision to involve the police. At the lakeside, a stranger notices Charity standing in obvious distress and approaches to offer support. However, the moment the woman gently reaches out to comfort her, Charity instinctively lashes out and strikes her. Rather than reacting with anger, the stranger remains calm and suggests that Charity's response is exactly what someone who has experienced unwanted physical contact might do. Her understanding immediately catches Charity off guard. The compassionate woman reassures Charity that she can be trusted, leaving her on the verge of revealing everything she has been hiding. But trusting a complete stranger could prove to be a dangerous mistake if that person later becomes part of village life with no reason to protect Charity's secrets. Elsewhere, Chas is finding it harder than ever to keep the truth to herself, as Mack continues to rely on her for answers. With pressure building from every direction, it seems increasingly likely that Charity's long-hidden secrets are finally about to come to light. Kane Dingle prepares to face another emotional milestone in his cancer battle as he attends a vital hospital appointment to learn more about his condition. Following his recent operation, Kane and his wife Moira travel to the hospital to meet with his medical consultant, hoping for encouraging news about his recovery. A newly released preview shows the couple waiting nervously before the appointment, with Moira doing her best to keep the atmosphere light despite the tension. When Kane tells her she doesn't have to stay with him, Moira jokingly replies that she simply wants to watch him panic, bringing a brief moment of laughter. She expresses hope that they will soon be able to leave this difficult chapter behind, before teasing herself for using such a familiar cliché. Continuing the joke, Moira suggests they should have a swear jar for every overused comforting phrase people say about Kane's illness. Moments later, she accidentally uses yet another cliché without realizing it, prompting Kane to playfully tell her she owes money to the imaginary jar just before they are called into the consultation room. Sadly, the appointment takes a devastating turn when the specialist reveals that the cancer has continued to spread despite the surgery, meaning additional treatment will now be necessary. The heartbreaking update leaves both Kane and Moira devastated as they try to process the difficult news together. Kane quickly becomes overwhelmed by fears about the side effects of further treatment, especially the possibility of continuing health complications, including his struggles with incontinence. As his anxiety grows, Moira does everything she can to remain strong for her husband, but it remains uncertain whether she will be able to stop him from falling deeper into despair as his health battle continues. Elsewhere in the village, another storyline moves forward as Archie Breckle continues his scam involving Caleb Milligan. Kerry Pollard soon attempts to become part of the scheme herself, but her plan quickly unravels when Eric catches her in the act. A heartbreaking new storyline has sparked speculation that Charity Dingle's future in the village could be in serious doubt after more than 2 decades on the soap. A newly released ITV trailer hints at devastating scenes ahead as Charity continues to struggle with the emotional scars left by Dr. Todd's sexual assault and blackmail. As her behavior becomes increasingly concerning, her family begins to fear for her well-being. Although Chas knows part of what has happened, she still has no idea that Todd assaulted Charity while manipulating her through a cruel blackmail plot. Despite finding the courage to report the attack to the police, Charity's hopes for justice are shattered when detectives reveal there is not enough evidence to bring charges against Todd, allowing him to leave the village without punishment. Unable to face the truth, Charity hides her trauma from those closest to her by pretending she is suffering from a severe mental illness. During Monday's episode, people around the village learn that Charity has supposedly developed postnatal depression following the birth of baby Layla. Believing that diagnosis, Manpreet prescribes medication, leaving Charity feeling even more isolated as her painful deception grows harder to maintain. Upcoming episodes reveal that Charity's emotional state continues to deteriorate, pushing her dangerously close to a complete mental breakdown. In dramatic scenes, she suddenly drives away to avoid telling her husband, Mackenzie, what she has really been going through, before ending up standing alone beside a lake. Unable to contact her despite repeated attempts, Mackenzie becomes increasingly alarmed and eventually calls the police for help. Lost in her own thoughts while staring across the water, Charity is approached by a stranger who notices her distress and tries to offer support. However, the moment the stranger reaches out to comfort her, Charity instinctively lashes out in panic. Rather than reacting with fear, the compassionate stranger calmly suggests that Charity's response may be the result of experiencing unwanted physical contact in the past. The newly released trailer captures Charity at her lowest point, while Mack reflects on how postnatal depression nearly claimed someone else close to their family. The footage also shows Charity breaking down behind the wheel of her car as her emotional pain overwhelms her. The drama continues on ITV1 during weekday evenings and is also available to stream on ITVX.